मैं मंडे नाइट 4 बजे हम लोग निकल जाएगा यहाँ से।
ओह,
साढ़े
that's luck.
4 बजे तैयारी है, फिर शायद रात में चले जाए। हम लोग मिलने जा रहे हैं। साढ़े बजे बाद को साढ़े रात। एक मिनट। हाँ रे, कैसे आ रही है आंटी? मेरे घर नहीं आ रही है, रीतू के घर आ रही है, मैं ही आ रही हूँ। ओके। हम आगे लेके हल्दी कुमकुम के लिए।
Eti geometasiva.
मार्केट जाने वाले।
ऑफ कैसे करेंगे नोट क्या?
और एक दिन मुझे बुला के कोई नहीं।
திருப்பி வந்து
நூத்தி 40 பேர் கனெக்ட் ஆகிக்கிறோம்.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay. So
Good
kindly
evening.
everyone put
Good evening,
yourself
ma'am.
to mute. Okay. So my name is Mandira Das, and I am an RCA licensed clinical psychologist. And so today I will be presenting about emotional burnout. Okay. So So I will start with sharing my slides. Give me a moment. Okay. So are you all being able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clearly.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Fine.
Hello.
So to start with, yeah. So emotional burnout, why you feel mentally exhausted and how to deal with it. So basically, keeping in mind that most of you are probably from the psychology background, or some of you might be from the non-psychology background. So I will try to explain it in the most simplest way as possible. But if you have any question, you can put it on the chat box, or maybe when we will reach to the question and answer part, you can ask it. Okay, so I will start. So today in today's session, what we will basically focus on understanding what emotional burnout is, because we use this term burnout a lot, right? I think I am feeling very burnout from this work or anything. So that's, we use it very casually. So we will learn to actually understand what being burnout means, and in a psychological or in a clinical term. And we will look at the stages and the symptoms, and as well as we will see that how to deal with it. So mostly the evidence-based techniques which are used in psychology, and as well as we'll learn how to distinguish, differentiate between stress, burnout and depression, because while we will we will see the symptoms, we can see that most of the symptoms, they try to uh, overlap with the other. So in that case, we will see that how to distinguish between these three, and also look at some biopsychosocial roots, and then we will go and see that if any of you, all the participants, how, like, what is your burnout stage, where are you currently. Okay. So to start with, what is emotional burnout? It was coined by Freudenberger in 1974. The term burnout was coined by him, not the emotional burnout part. And what is emotional burnout? Emotional burnout is a state of chronic emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced personal accomplishment due to sustained emotional demands. So to simplify it, when there is a lot of emotional demands from the environment, suppose you are a therapist, you are a psychologist, you are a teacher, or you are a primary caregiver to a child. So in that case, the emotional demand we have from the environment is a lot than the other situations. So in that case, when it is constant, it is very constant, and it is demanding more than the resources we have. So that time we feel very emotionally exhausted, as well as we feel there is out of body sensations where we don't feel like ourselves, and reduce personal accomplishment, where we are doing something, we are probably completing our task, but we are not feeling the sense of accomplishment by completing that task. We are constantly feeling, okay, that's not enough, probably I should do more. So when these three, that emotional exhaustion, the depersonalization, and reduced personal accomplishment, when these three dimensions are very prominently present in someone, so then we can say that the person is having a state of emotional burnout. So in the Indian context, we can see that there was a study in 2023 by NIMHANS and ICMR, which was a collaborative study. They said that 57% of working Indian adults show symptoms of burnout. So we don't have the typical data of emotional burnout, but we have occupational burnout and other we have that umbrella term of burnout, where they showed that 57% of the working Indian adults were suffering from or showing any sort of symptoms of burnout. And other than that, when there was a study or survey on IT and health sector professionals, they found out that the burnout prevalence was 65%, which is really concerning. And emotional exhaustions, the one of the three key dimensions of emotional burnout. So that emotional exhaustion was reported by 42% of the homemakers. Hello? And that is post pandemic. And students, undergraduate and postgraduate, all of them, 38% of them showed the signs of emotional burnout. It
Excuse
was
me, ma'am.
conducted.
Can you just raise your volume little more, ma'am? It's not clear.
Okay, is it audible?
It's audible, ma'am, but it's little bit louder, ma'am.
Okay,
I think
don't.
somebody's mic is also not
Actually,
mute.
somebody else has unmuted their microphone and is speaking to a phone. That's why his volume is coming lower.
Please
Okay.
mute
Hello.
everybody as an admin. ma'am.
Everybody, please go to mute, please.
Yeah.
And there is also request, ma'am, please can you increase the font size of your PPT?
Sure, I can do that.
Thank you so much.
Let's see.
Ma'am, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So I will resume. Okay, again, if you have any problem with the audio, please let me know, okay. So yeah, so that's there. And other than that, so now we will go to the stages of emotional burnout, where we will see that there are, if you Google, they will always tell you there are 4 or 5 basic stages of burnout, but we have here a very in-depth 12 stages of burnout, emotional burnout. So what happens? Okay, so now imagine, so when you are emotionally burned out, you usually go through these 12 stages, where it starts with where you feel the need to prove yourself. There is a constant need that I have to excel, I have to do it perfectly, I have to excel in whatever I am doing. There is always a very strong compulsion to prove yourself. Then working harder or
Stop it.
increasing your efforts. So so these two are very related, right? Because whenever you have the compulsion to prove yourself, you always put more efforts than you are supposed to. You always strive for the best part. So you put increased effort. Maybe you could have put minimal effort and you could have got that done, but because of that compulsion within you, you put more effort than it was required. Then neglecting your own needs. So whenever, like for the therapist or the caregiver or the teachers, they usually try to ignore their own needs when their body is asking to rest. It is very much prevalent for the new mothers, right? Because they can't have that time to put forward their own needs. They have to take care of the newborn. So in that case, neglecting your own needs and prioritizing others. Displacement of conflict. Whenever there is a conflict within your own self, you try to displace it to something, maybe to your work or maybe to somewhere else, and that's how you don't face them. You try to navigate them through other channels, so you don't focus on them. Then what you do is revision of your values. So you probably were having some other values, but now that you have the compulsion, now you are doing so much more than you are supposed to. You are revising your own values. Then denial of problems, which is a very strong key point of emotional burnout, where the specific person concerned, they go into the denial that there is no problem, I am just doing fine, I am working, I am completing all of my tasks, I am functioning well, so there is no problem. So that denial of problems is a very key factor. Then withdrawal, the more they are in denial of their problems, the more they are withdrawing from the reality. And as well as it is followed by odd behavioral changes that they don't notice, and that also again accompanied by depersonalization. They start to feeling not, they, if you ask them, they say that lately I'm not feeling like myself, I wasn't like this. So that sensation comes in, or maybe the others are telling them, you are not like this, why have you become like this? So that depersonalization comes in. And then it is followed by inner emptiness, that always they are feeling with, they are accomplishing tasks, they are doing everything it is needed, they are probably getting 6 hours of sleep, but then they are waking up and they are feeling that there is something missing. They don't know exactly what, but there is a constant feeling of I don't know what is it, but there is something that is missing from inside. That inner emptiness is a very key component of emotional burnout, and it can also followed by depression. It may not go to the severity of clinical depression, but it can replicate many symptoms of depression, and then it is followed by all the kind of burnout symptom. So if you look at it, if you look at these 12 phases, what do you think? Where do you think you are currently at? Do any of you are being able to relate to these stages? Do you think that you are probably at the 6th stage, or maybe you have accumulation of number 2, number 3, number 4? What do you think? Please let me know.
Ma'am, I think I was at number 9. I was a software engineer. Now I'm not a software engineer anymore. Now I'm as a homemaker. But I think I was at number 9 when I was a software engineer. Eventually, because see, I love to talk. That's why I am here. But with the software engineer field is very different. I was a software developer, so I must sit with that black screen. I must work. So I worked a lot, but I do not feel like myself. Like the depersonalization, I do not feel like myself because I have the urge to talk. So yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. Anybody else who would like to share?
Yes, ma'am. May I?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am Miss Saida Sheikh. Previously, Miss, I am a teacher. I am an educator teaching in junior college, and now I am working as a counselor also. So now I am at second stage. I feel I am at second stage because lots of year I have been teaching. So I have a mastery over that, no doubt. But now as a counselor, I have to put my efforts more and more because the responsibility of a counselor has been increased, right? Teaching is where you are teaching, students are learning, we are getting the output from there, we are getting the result, and the things goes on smoothly. But as a counselor, I feel now workload has been increased, and I have to show my whatever I have the caliber, I have to put on the table and show to means the student. They should help. I should give them help whatever they are supposed to. So I feel I am at second stage.
Yeah. And you also have the number 1 stage as well, the constant need to prove yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do and I have to do. That are the two main points
Ma'am,
I am going with.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes.
you.
hi ma'am.
Hello.
This is Dr. Shabana.
Okay.
I think I am in stage number 1. Need
Okay.
to prove oneself. Recently, I joined a hospital, Holy Family, as a counselor. So I have to prove myself that I can do each and everything and I can satisfy the patient also. I'm trying to increase my efforts to you people.
So then number 2 is also there. That increased effort is
Yeah,
also
number 2
there.
is also there. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. And in order to do this too, are you also neglecting your own needs?
Sometimes I have to neglect my needs also because I have a small kids and I have to take care of them also. So sometimes it happens.
Yeah, understandable. Okay. Mr. Shri K.N. Rao raised their hand.
Namaste ji.
Namaste.
Actually, my daughter is, I guess that she is in those kind of stages. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 10. She's
Okay.
actually preparing for UPSC. So she is going through a lot of tough time in terms of handling the scenarios, what it has to go. So one of the reasons why I'm there in this session is also to understand, because I'm new to psychology here as far as the professional psychology is concerned. So I wanted to understand how these things work and how we can probably I could counsel my daughter and put her on the path which she would love doing it. Not
I
necessarily
will
definitely.
try my best so that I can fulfill your motive behind joining the seminar.
Yes, because she has an urge now, need to prove herself to the family or to the friends or the circle which has come, and she's putting a lot of effort. Of course, so there is a kind of ups and downs which I'm seeing in her mood swings. So probably this session would throw some lights on those things. Thanks.
I will try my best.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, good evening.
Good
I think
evening.
first three stages are very much like everybody is going through this stage. Everybody is proving themselves, increasing efforts to do something, and neglecting their own needs. These three stages are like some student is there. He
See,
is
basically
joining a
that.
new college.
So basically, the thing is that is why the number one participants, please mute yourself. It is becoming very difficult to.
Ma'am,
Please mute
someone
yourself.
is making noise continuously.
Madam, please mute yourself.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was trying to say that you can see in this this picture that number 1, 2, 3 is very light in color, right? It is pinkish in color.
Good
The
evening,
more
ma'am.
it is. Yes. Good evening.
Ma'am, you are not audible to us.
Okay. Nobody is audible to. Nobody can't hear.
Ma'am,
Hello.
please be louder a little bit.
Yeah, very soft, ma'am, you are.
Yes. Are you being able to hear me? Hello.
Yeah,
Yes,
you are.
ma'am, we can hear
Yes,
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
you are.
Yes, ma'am.
You are audible. I think it's a specific issue to that computer, maybe.
Okay, okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, yeah. So basically, you can see that level 1, 2, 3. Those are very light in color, and the more it is increasing to number 9, 10, they are becoming more red, right? So that is what that the 1, 2, 3. This can this can be there within a person. If that is not there, because as you know that some of the stress that are called eustress. If you are from a psychology background, you probably know eustress. Eustress is something called good stress, which helps us to accomplish a task. So having that need to prove oneself and putting increased effort, these are like neglecting your own needs. If you remember that during our exam times, even we also used to do that. For the last probably 1 week before our exam, we used to put a lot of effort, lot of neglecting our needs by sleeping less, eating at different hours of the day. So these things everybody does, but to what severity of it. That is what matters, because when you keep on doing this and reaching the stages till number 8 or 9, then the emotional burnout becomes more prominent. So doing in a very minimal amount to accomplish a task is okay. That has nothing to do with emotional burnout. But when it is becoming too much of it, whenever anything becomes too much of it, it causes some problem, right? So that is there. Okay, so now let's look at an extensive list of
Can I have a question?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, one last question
Sure.
from my side.
Yeah.
Is it possible, ma'am, like except stage 1, is it possible that a person can reach to direct stage number 12? Like by facing all the stages from stage 2 to stage 12, except that one? Because I feel that I have, did not face that need to prove oneself for the issue. Apart from that, I have faced so much, completely exhausted also, and it gone to for 1 to 1.5 years. It was continuous. So is it possible?
So to let me restate the question again. So you are saying that if somebody is not having the stage number 1, can they have all the other stages, or can they reach to directly to the stage number 12?
Not directly. Okay, we can consider both directly also, and from stage 2 to directly to stage 12.
Okay, and like having all of them,
Yes,
right?
I
Yeah.
I faced I faced from stage 2 to stage 12.
So basically, stage 2 or 3, okay, whenever there is increased effort and neglecting your own needs, you are probably not really understanding your own need of proving yourself. Probably you are telling yourself, no, I don't care about anybody, I don't care about the society, I will do whatever I want to do. But there is a need, because if there wasn't any, you won't put that increased effort, you won't neglect your own needs, then you will put yourself first, right? So there is probably, but I'm not arguing with you, probably you don't have, I hope. Okay, so yeah, it can possible, because skipping 1 or 2 stages are okay. It's not like everybody of them are having depersonalization, everybody of them are denying their problems. Probably they know there is a problem and they are still reaching to the stage 12, but because they are not doing anything, right? So it is possible. But like having only 1 or 2 stage and having not any of them, that can be a little less likely. Okay, but yes, most of them, when you are having most of the symptoms or most of the stages, it is very likely that you are facing emotional burnout.
Okay, thank you.
So moving
Excuse me,
forward,
ma'am.
yes,
Yeah, if we are thinking that we are neglecting,
you are on mute, ma'am.
sorry,
Yes.
sorry. I just want to explain in more. If we are considering that we are bypassing all the second, third, fourth, fifth stage, then without going through the stages, we cannot go directly to the depression or complete exhaustion, because in between we will show behavior changes. It is a human psychology, and without showing any behavior changes, we cannot move further.
Right.
And that is the symptom that we are exhausted and we are in depressed, we are sad. Yes or no?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Thank you for adding that.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can you give example for the point 4, or can you elaborate it a
Yes,
little bit?
I will. Okay, let me move forward to the slides. There are examples for it. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So moving forward, so let's now try to understand that what are the differences between stress, emotional burnout and depression, because whenever we are stressed for a period of time, we say that I'm very burnout, but is it burnout? Or maybe when you are stressed, they say, I think I'm very depressed. So are they really depressed? So because the symptoms kind of overlap to each other, so the confusion is very much evident, right? So let's look at them. So to start with, So there are aspects to differentiate them. So there is we will look at the definition first. So what is stress? Stress is a physical and psychological response to external pressure or demands. Okay, and so it is purely external. But when it is becoming emotional burnout, so it becomes due to the emotional strain it is causing to you. Okay, so it is not exactly the external situation, but the how it is affecting you, that is emotional burnout. Okay, and stress is when it is external, when the environment is so demanding that you are responding to that how to put it, you are responding to that environment. Like when there is an exam coming tomorrow probably, so now I am feeling like, okay, I have to study, oh, there is so much syllabus to complete. So that is my psychological response to that situation, right? So that is stress. And when it will be emotional burnout, probably when I am having back to back sessions, probably 12 sessions or 15 sessions a day, probably for a week or probably for a month, where I am not becoming able to take care of my own needs. So then that is that emotional strain that is causing me. The situation is there, but how it is affecting me, that is becoming emotional burnout. And what is depression? When there is a clinical mood disorder marked by persistent sadness, hopelessness, and lack of interest. So when the stress and emotional burnout is becoming so persistent that you are being constantly sad, you are becoming like, okay, nothing is happening, but no matter what I do, it is nothing gonna happen. So it has already changed my cognition, or it has changed my perception of the world. So then it is becoming, and also it has changed my behavior, it has affected me as a person. So it is not only now restricted to my emotional strain, but it has almost changed the way I behave, or
There
the way
is a
or
disturbance.
the way I am interacting with the situation. So that is when we call it a depression. Okay, and now we can look that causes are different. While explaining the definition, I have mostly covered the causes. And onset, so onset is though here it is written that stress can be sudden, emotional burnout is it's kind of gradual, and depression can be sudden or gradual. So it depends, actually we cannot really say it, because there are times, suppose somebody who was somebody who is a new mother, so that time it is not usually gradual, it is kind of, it becomes kind of acute at that moment, right? So it is not always you can it is not one definition which can fit to all. So but yes, generally it is emotional burnout is usually gradual. It is it slowly starts, like the stages, like that is number 1, 2, and gradually it leads to stage number 12. And the symptoms are there, and the mood. So the mood is basically in stress, it is hyper aroused, you are always like what to do, how to fix this situation. And in emotional burnout, you are always like ki, yeah, I'm doing my best, let's see what happens. And you become very emotionally flat, it doesn't affect you because you have reached the level of burnout, right? I'm not talking about the stages of 1 or 2 where you are constantly doing something to achieve something. I am talking about where you have reached the stage of emotional burnout, where you have become flat, emotionally flat. And depression has also that emotional flat kind of a emotional state, because there is also they are also persistently sad, and they have also the feeling of emptiness like the emotional burnout. Okay, and sleep pattern is more or less similar. It is very difficult to distinguish clinically that with the sleep pattern, but yes, it is disturbed always. Motivation, it is very something you can distinguish, because in stress you have motivation to do something, but when you are emotionally burnout, because you are already emotionally flat, so that arousal you don't really have, you are just doing it for the sake of doing it. Okay, and internally you are disconnected, you that emotional flatness, you are emotionally disconnected with the, and it is internal disconnection has also relation to that sense of depersonalization. And then there is cognition. In cognition also, you are all in stress, you are preoccupied with tasks, right? Exam hai, what to do, kya karna hai. And when you are emotionally burnout, you are like lost, you are gone, you are like, okay, I have done my best, I have given my best, now jo hoga dekha jayega. And in depression is very different, because in depression your cognitive abilities are very low, so you can't only do anything, you are not being decisive enough, you are not being able to concentrate, your problem solving abilities are very low, you are not being rational enough. So in depression
Ma'am, your voice is not clear.
Okay, is it for everybody?
Ma'am, your voice is clear.
Ma'am, your voice is clear.
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
It is clear.
No, ma'am, it's not clear.
Okay,
Yeah, it's clearly audible. You can carry on, please.
thank you so much. Okay, so it is very so cognition is something you can really differentiate with emotional burnout or depression, because in depression your decision making skills, your whole cognitive abilities is very much disturbed or distorted, but in emotional burnout it's not. You can take the decisions, you can rationalize, but there can be a low that again it is coming from the emotional flatness, you are doing it but you don't feel like doing it, that arousal is not anymore there, you are exhausted, so it is all overlapping, right? So that is the basic. And okay, so let's move on. So what causes really the burnout? Okay, so there are external factors and there are internal factors to it, right? So external factor can be professional overload, and it's not only professional overload. In emotional burnout, there are emotional overload as well, right? Because that the demand of the environment is draining you emotionally, and there is of course lack of support. There may be bullying or maybe conflicts in professional burnout. I mean, in the occupational burnout, what happens is usually there is a conflict with the manager or maybe with the HR or maybe between your teams. So that can also be there. And in emotional burnout, it can be conflicts with your own self or maybe with your family or maybe with your any partner or friends. It can happen. It is not basically the reason behind the burnout, but it is a very important contributing factor to burnout. Okay, and then high schedule and time pressure, little influence on daily tasks, and lacking appreciation. So in occupational burnout, we see that when the person is not being appreciated for the efforts they are putting, like they have that need for proving themselves, right? And they are putting increased effort. When that effort is not being acknowledged by the team, okay, or maybe when in emotional burnout, when you are a therapist to a hospital, you are doing everything, but the hospital management is saying, oh, you are not doing enough, your patients are, your clients are dropping out, but you are doing your best, right? So that hospital management is lacking the appreciation, because when a client drops out, it is not on us to be responsible or accountable for it. Okay, it can be due to various reasons from the part of the client. So lacking that appreciation, So these things can also contribute for causing emotional burnout or burnout in general. And these were the external parts, those which were coming from the outside. Now internal factors which are related to the person themselves. Perfectionism, that constant need to prove, the strong need for recognition, self overexertion, where somebody is putting so much effort more than it is needed, excessive self criticism, constantly criticizing, oh I am not good enough, okay I have completed the task but I don't think it was good enough, I should have done more. Okay, unreachable ideas and goals, putting goals so high that is beyond our reach. Suppose if I make a goal like, okay, every day I have to see 20 patients, 20 clients a day, that is kind of an unreachable goal, right? It is not really possible. And if I put such goals in front of me, then it is very much given that I will experience the frustration and the inability to say no. If somebody else, suppose my work hour ends at 6 p.m. and somebody is every day telling me, okay please mera bhi kaam kar do na, and I'm sitting there till 8 or maybe 9, and then I'm coming back home at 11 p.m. So that inability to say no, okay, helping somebody else is different, but when it is at the cost of your own needs or your own well-being, then that is not right? So that there is a need to be assertive and to know when to say no to something. So now that we have covered the basic signs, symptoms and the domains of emotional burnout, so I want you all to look at this case, Vinette, okay, and tell me what are the areas that you can see and of this person. Tell me.
Ma'am, she's in depersonalization stage.
Okay. No, you don't have to just tell the stage. Tell me what are the areas that you can figure out from this case, Vinette.
Yeah. So she's not able to express her emotions. She has stopped feeling anything. She's feeling disconnected.
Very good. Okay. Anybody else would like to add?
She's inner emptiness.
Yes.
Because she's numb, she's not feeling anything. So that shows that she has stopped feeling her own feeling and the client's feeling too. So that's why she is disconnected.
Yes.
Ma'am, she's self overexertion and the inability to say no.
Ma'am, I think she is in depression.
And it leads to depression because she's unable to say no, and she's overstressed with the work.
Right. Okay. Okay. Anyone else would like to add?
I guess, ma'am, that this doctor is actually, she knows for herself that she's exhausted. She's not able to accept it and then come in terms with that.
Right.
And
Very
then
nice.
take positive action, stating that I need this kind of a break. I will schedule my client's meeting accordingly, where I'm also giving importance to my own space for my own rejuvenation. She is not taking care of herself.
Right. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
she
she's neglecting
admits
her own
that
needs.
she's like tired. She seemed to be look like that she's exhausted, but she's not inability to say no. Okay, that she's continue with the work, but she's not enjoying it all.
Prolonged exposure to emotional drains.
Ma'am, maybe she's emotionally burnout and workplace stress.
Yeah, ma'am. Maybe from the client's stories and the client studies, she may be also.
Workplace stress.
Ma'am,
So,
since she's a clinical psychologist, she must have known the symptoms and what she's going through, and but she is in a denial mode. What I feel
Yes,
is.
right.
Professional
I think she
overload.
admits, because in this it is given that she admits that she no longer feels deeply connected to her client. So I think being a psychologist, she understands what she's going through. And I
Yes.
think this is more of numbness and more of an autopilot mode, because at the last, she doesn't cry, she doesn't feel joy. We can't count it as depression unless and until if we know that these symptoms are persisting in a very long basis. But when it is said that she hasn't cried or felt joy and described herself on being autopilot, it is more of numbness. It is more of it's more of a cognitive cloud. Your cognitive process has been clouded so much that your thinking and your response is a little. I think it's a little numb. That's what I felt also.
Yes,
Very
ma'am.
good.
This
It's
is
all
a
right.
high
Mhm.
schedule and a time pressure. This is another factor.
Yes. So yes, it is. And so now I want someone to tell me why this is emotional burnout and why this is not a depression.
Ma'am, I would say this is an emotional burnout, because because her initial stages of what she's going through, zoning out, and while clients think she's not able to concentrate, and she's, but still she's still using that effort to give that warmth and demeanor, and trying to be attached to the client. That itself is an effort. And I think if you are going through depression, I don't think that will also be possible. And when you are when you're going through depression, I don't think you can even continue to be a little professional. I think that will take a big
Lack of
toll on her.
support also, ma'am. Too much pressure on her. Professional overload, another factor.
Yeah.
She is
And
High
not
schedule and high
conversing
when she's not finding time for her own self, and
herself.
gradually
Right now, she is effortful. That's why she's not in depression. She's working.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, she's
Exactly,
not in
because if she's
depression,
in
meaning,
depression, I don't think she can work.
yeah, she's not feeling helpless, hopeless, worthless. So it is not depression.
it's not
It's
a
emotional
depression,
burnout.
it's just a pressure and lack of support. She's not
Yeah,
getting her
yeah, she's right. We
I
can
workplace.
say
think
that it's
this
a
is the
stress. It's
proper
a stress.
definition for emotional burnout.
Maybe stress, over stress.
Also, ma'am, she hasn't cried also. So I feel that could also be a symptom in depression. Generally, people do cry and do feel hopelessness. So, and she is not able to feel anything because when you are hopeless, you maybe alone you will cry, but at least those crying episodes will definitely be there, is what I feel.
It's
Exactly,
not
Ma'am, she
depression
is
mandatory.
is
not
more
depressed
emotional, I
because
feel. Like,
as she
there
is
is
not
more
having any
emotional
negative
involved in
thoughts.
depression.
Yes, right, Megha,
Ma'am,
right.
I feel
As
that she is
Yes.
not
Yeah.
depressed at
Yeah.
and
all. It is not always important to be emotionally connected because we really don't want to seep in all the negatives and positives. So, unless we have a clear mindset ourselves, it is very difficult to give counseling to the other person. And carrying back the baggage back home is probably not advisable, what I personally feel.
Yes. So those who
she
were
needs a
saying
break.
that, yes, we all do. So, so yes. So basically, yes, it is not depression because first of all, she is still being functional, and the participants who mentioned that she is not crying, and in depression they person do cry. So it is not necessarily, because when it is if someone has severe depression, we have seen clinically that the person becomes emotionally so numb that they are not able to cry out loud. So it is not necessarily that if a person is not crying, they are not going to depression. But yes, that keeping aside, that's not our topic for the day. So but yes, this is a case of pure emotional burnout and not depression.
And time pressure.
Sorry, I did not get you.
Ma'am, is it possible that psychologists need sometimes for themselves counseling?
Yes, of course they do. It is very much we try to do this as a practice, that therapists themselves go through some therapeutic sessions for their own well-being. And even if not, but there are self-care forms for therapists which they need to go through for, because in our profession we become the sandbag for others, where they will pour down all of their emotional difficulties and life stories, where they don't usually come to share happy stories. So when everybody is coming to you and sharing their sad stories, you after a point of time you feel overwhelmed by their stories, because you all keeping everything within yourself. So to clean that out, to cleanse your own self, your own mind, your own emotion, you do need some self-care activities. And yes, time to time definitely have some supervision or go to a therapist.
यस मैम, उसको अपने लिए टाइम निकालना चाहिए और सेल्फ मेडिटेशन ये सब अपने लिए भी करना चाहिए, जिससे कि वो थोड़ा उन सब चीजों से अलग हो और उसका कुशन हो, वो अपने आप को और
Right. If we can't keep
Ma'am,
ourselves
can psychologist decide that I need some counseling session or some psychologist I need to go? Or they will
depends.
think that अगर मैं किसी के पास चला गया तो who will मेरी कौन वैल्यू करेगा, like this?
Ikram Khan, you are marking on the screen, so kindly refrain from doing that, or if possible kindly delete it. Yes, so yeah, so basically I don't think is somebody who is who has who is a really psychologist, they will tend to think so, because being a psychologist, we know that everybody needs some sort of a person who will understand them, or where they can we all face emotional dysregulation from time to time. So we all need somebody who can help us untangle them. And it's not that I can go to my friend and they will understand how to detangle my my emotional dysregulation, because they are not a certified psychologist. So being a psychologist, I will definitely choose a professional to help me go through that. Right. Okay.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
there
Thank
is
you.
another case variant.
Charger देना.
So kindly go
फटाफट.
through it and tell me what are you noticing here. And Ikram Khan, if it is possible, if you can clear the screen you have marked on the screen. Yes, hello, tell me.
Ma'am, I think in this case, he is more stressed than being emotionally, burnt out. I think these are more symptoms of stress. Basically, I think when he is able to, like for example, when he's describing that, it's like he's run a marathon in his sleep, and he's trying to hide himself from work, and when he has his ego that okay, if I seek for help, that will make me look weak. So I think more than he's feeling emotionally burnt out, I think he's more in control of his emotions, but in a huge scale of stress. That's what I felt when I read this report, ma'am.
Ma'am, I felt he is a perfectionist. He wanted to do all his work himself and prove that everything is done by him or something. And this is leading him to stress, high level of stress. And if he continue like this, he will be emotionally burned out and finally can end up in depression if he continue his routine like this.
And especially being a team lead, ma'am, I think everybody, not only in a corporate team lead, like for example, you being also a psychologist and you're being you have to handle more than 10 to 15 people in your team, and when you're responsible for them, I think that's very stressful, ma'am. Like how ma'am just told now, it is high stress, which can in turn lead to emotional burnout. I think two more clicks from this, I think he'll reach a proper emotional burnout himself.
Ma'am, I guess this person is on the borderline of getting into depression, madam, because he says he's all good externally, but he's already feeling hollow inside and is chronically tired. So he's on the borderline of each of these stages where anytime he could enter into depression if he is not taking corrective actions immediately. So my point
Ma'am,
of view would be, yeah, that he must take, and probably his managers should intervene and take their support initially before he can go into a psychological counseling or something like that. Along with the family support is what he would be needing. He should talk to his friends, because personally he has got a kind of a ego which is not yet evolved to a higher level of ego. So he has to evolve, he has to understand his ego and shut down that particular thing, stating that when he's opening up to seek help, it might show him as a weak person. So he needs
excuse
to
me,
continue
ma'am.
with
Ma'am,
his
I don't think
Yes,
that
madam.
this may be the case of depression. He is tired of repeatedly doing the same thing. Every day he is doing the same thing. That's why he is tired of. It is
And
case
I
of
think
like
I think in the
yeah,
corporate world,
he
it's a
is.
common affair
exhaust.
that we keep on talking to our team members and we do get exhausted because of time factor, because of people's expectation and self-respect and self-expectations as well. So these could be the various parameters which are working on this person at this point in time. He needs to go chill out, talk to friends, share at least with his one friend, one good friend, what is it that is happening with him in his life, and that friend should be able to guide him through to get into the counseling mode, which will help him to take those kind of steps probably.
Ma'am, I
Yeah,
think
excuse
he
me,
is
It's a
ma'am.
kind
privately
of
report feeling emotionally flat and mentally drained. He already, it's written that he's privately reporting. Maybe he's talking to his friends that I'm so stressed out. He's not able to figure out what to do next. Maybe he needs help, somebody to guide him that you need to meet a counselor or a therapist or somebody, because he is telling somebody, maybe his staff, maybe his friends. He's trying to tell them, give them signal that I need help. So somebody has to take the, first seat for him and take some decisions for him or guide him. Definitely, you need a counselor
maybe
or
it
a
could be
therapist.
kind of a monotonous job, every day listening to the patient and where to drive the own frustration or whatever feelings they have.
I think, ma'am, he is in stress, overload, emptiness.
Okay, so let's move on the next slide and find out. So basically, the person is going through hidden emotional burnout. Okay, and they are actually high functioning emotional burnout. It's a case of high functioning emotional burnout where they feel like that the mind is constantly running in their sleep, and when they are waking up from the 7-8 hours of sleep and they are still feeling like I have slept enough, but I don't know why I'm not feeling rested in my head. It was and if you have noticed somebody in your vicinity, or probably you have felt it yourself, that some days we sleep but we keep on thinking something, and when we wake up we felt like we did not sleep at all, but you slept. The other person
Ma'am, please change the slide.
sorry, did not
Yeah,
get.
exactly. True, ma'am. We think we have taken a proper nap or sleep, but actually during the sleep, continuous thoughts are going on.
Yes, and the other person is saying, no, you
Yeah.
to slept, you are to even snoring.
The other
Yeah.
person, what he or she sees, he explains, ki, yes, you have taken a good nap or you slept
Yes.
overnight, and you are saying not slept, but it
Yes.
not so. The person who is going through the situation,
Yes, right.
yeah.
So that is when we are in the high functioning, we become the high functioning emotional burnout. We know it is there, but we have been resilient for so long that that has become our coping mechanism. Okay, now we are using our power of resilience as a coping mechanism, and we are on the autopilot mode. We are doing everything, but our brain is not being rested. We are not feeling anything, we are not attached, we are going to the parties, probably we are attending all the family gatherings, everything, we are doing everything, we are laughing, but after a while we feel like, okay, I laughed, but I did not feel the joy from inside. I was laughing, okay, if joke is making me laugh, but uh, after laughing there is a there is a how
Happy
to put it,
feeling.
yeah, there is a feeling na, that okay, I have laughed, I am happy now. That feeling of joy is missing even after laughing, so that feeling is
Ma'am,
there, so
could you
that,
please come to the next slide?
sure.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
So that's when basically we are we become the high functioning emotional burnout. So that is something we have to even look out for, because some people are emotionally burnout, but they don't they are not either ready to accept it, or maybe they think that no, I am to doing everything, so I am not burnout. If I had been burnout, so I would have stopped doing, or maybe my productivity will become less, or probably I will not complete my task on time. So that's not the case all the time.
Ma'am,
I
he's
have a
constantly
doubt, ma'am. For
Sure.
example, for
he's
example, in two scenarios, like say we are constantly working towards something, and in life, I think everybody has this thing that we have a same routine every day. So is that a main reason also to having emotional burnout? And in the second case, there are people who are overly motivated, and I want to prove myself here, there, they're everywhere. They're too motivated, they're too on their feet, and that also brings emotional burnout, right, ma'am?
Yes, that may actually, because it was seen that people who are overachievers, or who had been perfectionists, they are more inclined to experience emotional burnout than others. So yes, it is very much, and that is why when you go to therapy, the therapist usually ask you about your hobbies and interests, so that they can schedule it to your daily routine. Because when you are just waking up, eating breakfast, going to the office, coming back, and eating your dinner and sleeping, so that's where you are neglecting your self care, where you are not putting even an hour to your own self, your own putting that putting your energy to doing something that can make you feel alive. So that is when the severity of emotional burnout increases. So that is why we ask about your hobbies and interests, so that we can put that in your daily schedule.
और मैम एक चीज ये भी है कि वो सेल्फ ईगो की वजह से कि मैं सबसे ऊपर दिखूं, एक भी चीज होता है, उसके वजह से वो मतलब अपना सोना खाना सब कुछ भूलकर बस एक डेडिकेशन होता है कि मैं इसको करूं, और उसके लिए सारा फोकस करता है और अपने सेल्फ के प्रति वो अटेंशन नहीं देता।
Yes, that can be a reason, but that cannot continue for a long time. Otherwise, emotional burnout will happen, and then it can lead to depression as well, right?
I have a question here, a doubt
Sure.
in my mind.
Sure.
It seems to me that this individual person seems to be number one is an individualistic personality, who is only concerned about his efforts, and his achievements. Number one. Number two, I also feel that he's less of a team player, because since he's not a team player, he is the person who takes all the responsibilities of enjoying his intent to do all the activities, and he comes out as a very good person for the colleagues. But actually, if you look at it, he is the person who likes to do everything, kind of loading himself too much. But eventually, it actually gives me a feeling that he is less of a team player and a very individualistic and a selfish person. Could you please throw some light on this, if I have to look at it like this?
uh, I uh, I don't think I can put myself in a point of agreement with your statements, because if you start looking at it again, you see that he was known for being dependable. So somebody, if they had been self-eccentric, they won't be dependable and always available. So if he had been selfish enough, he won't be available for others. So, and also it is a very small minute to do a conclusion. So I don't think so I can agree with your point.
Ma'am, I
Okay.
think Srinath is saying something which I am able to get it. Like he wants to become an example and role model for everyone, that everyone keep praising him. You know, sometimes we feel very great and our egos goes up and we feel great about it. So maybe that is the reason he's overburdening himself. That can, I think so.
Possibility can be there, but it's just few lines. We can't draw a conclusion from this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's move
So I
forward.
would also request you, madam,
Sure.
because I am new to this kind of a subject matter. Probably you should also throw as an expert. You are an expert in terms of psychology. You will have to help us learn how to find out the pointers and how do we assess that particular case in point. What is it that we should look for when we are looking into these kind of statements, or when we are looking into a person or having a dialogue with them? What is it that we should look for? And then how do we come to some kind of a logical, professional, out at the end of the interaction?
Yeah, so this webinar's focus was not particularly to that. Otherwise, I would have put that areas into account, of course. But yes, I can do that. So will you mind if I do that at the end of the session, because it's already almost an hour and I have to complete the slides as
Can,
well.
madam, can.
Okay, okay.
One
Keep that in your mind. Okay, I will attend this again in the end of the session.
मैम इसके पहले का एक स्लाइड, मैम इसके पहले का एक स्लाइड।
हाँ, ये हो गया था. This was done.
थैंक यू।
So now activity for you all. Okay, so it's a self-assessment. I want to see that how would you rate yourself. Okay, so it is not a standardized test based. So it is drawn from 2-3 different tests to measure burnout, and I have taken out only the statements which were assessing. Everybody kindly mute yourself. Okay, so basically it is the statements which I have taken to just to measure the emotional burnout. So there is a 7-point Likert scale. So 1 means never, 2 means rarely, 3 means occasionally, 4 means sometimes, 5 means frequently, 6 means very frequently, 7 means always. So now I want to take each of these statements, 10 of them, and rate yourself. And you can put it in the chat box, or maybe unmute yourself and tell me what are the scores you all are getting.
Ma'am, number 2, rarely.
No, all of 10 of them. Rate 10 of them, okay, and add on.
Okay.
Yes. Rate each of the statement from 1 to 7 and then calculate the score.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, I have something to ask with you, ma'am.
Sure, please.
Ma'am, I'm a third year BSc Psychology student from Tamil Nadu. Ma'am, actually, after coming to this final year, I'm feeling emotionally burned out so much nowadays, ma'am, because next I need to choose another degree or go to job. What I did not have any clarity in that, ma'am. So what shall I do, ma'am?
I don't think this is the right place to discuss that. I would really love to help you in that, but I don't know if it is the right place to discuss.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Sure.
Ma'am, I'm done with my responses.
Yeah, please tell me what's your score?
Sorry, ma'am.
What's your score?
It's mostly 5 and some of them it's 2.
No, tell me the total score of it, not the
Excuse me,
statement
ma'am.
wise. The 10
My score
statements,
is
what's it?
24.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am. My
no.
total, yeah, ma'am. Mine is 28.
Okay.
One by one, please.
Yeah, ma'am. My
Yeah,
score
this-
is 24.
Okay.
Ma'am, mine
My
is
score,
26.
mine is
26,
23.
ma'am.
Ma'am, mine is 28.
This side to
Mine
start.
is 14.
My score is 12.
Mine is
40,
Mine is
23, ma'am.
14.
Mine is 23.
Did somebody say 40, 40?
My
I
score
said
is
14,
12
1 4.
to start.
Ma'am, mine is 26.
Okay.
21, ma'am.
I'm on 27, madam.
So, ma'am, my question was, so suppose, I want to give my case. In general, I am a very curious person and I love to learn. So, I won't say I'm a perfectionist, but I want to keep myself engaged and busy. And I'm very happy with that I'm learning something, or even from past few years, I'm learning counseling and psychology session, though I'm a software professional. So I'm loving this, but I sometimes, I get tired because I would be, I am
I'm
having a
tired,
few
ma'am. मेरे को तो बस पूरे दिन रेस्ट करने के लिए चाहिए.
yeah. So I like this actually. So I want to know, when you want to keep yourself busy because you don't have anyone actually apart from your kid. You are the whole day you are busy, like you are alone. So in that time, if you are keeping yourself engaged in a good things, and even if it is many things, and if you are happy, so will it still be considered as emotional burnout, or how it will be?
So it basically depends. It is sir was asking the same question. I feel that it is not we need to, as therapists, as clinical psychologists, we need to look at other aspects of life. You cannot just come and say I am having this and I will diagnose you. Okay, you are having depression, you are having emotional burnout. I cannot do that. Okay, that would be very disrespectful of my degree, of my education. I cannot do that. Okay, somebody has scored 54. Okay, yeah, so I cannot basically do that. But yes, if you are experiencing some sort of problem like that, I think, yeah, what you can start with is putting some, rescheduling your daily routine, where you can put some hours for your own self, where you would do something that you enjoy, not necessarily something very big which will take out a lot of energy, because you are already drained, right? So we wouldn't like to put something more draining physically or emotionally. So something which you can do by even lying down on your bed, or maybe sitting in a relaxing chair, you can do something, just having some time for your own self, where you can do anything, or maybe can do nothing at all. Okay, that is also a form of self-care, where you are doing everything, managing everything for the 23 hours, and keeping 1 hour for your own self, where you are doing nothing, just sitting there, existing, being mindful about the situation.
Ma'am, I have a question. We discussed both the cases. The people were working, they were employed. So I want to come up with what's the condition of a housewife or a mother who is multitasking, and everybody will encourage her until her energy is drained out, and nobody usually care about her mental health, or even if she asks for a, because I have many patients like that coming to me. If she asks for a taking a trip, taking out her also, like the financial issues will come first, so she will suppress that also. And what can we do to help such people? Like they will literally cry, or they are nobody is there to listen to, because everybody is coming to her for to fulfill her needs, means their needs. I mean, like children are coming, they have to help her in homework, or the husband is coming, okay, always appreciating your food is fantastic. So she will be keep on doing the same thing to make others happy, and nobody is there to attend her part. So in such condition, what advice we can give to the
Others,
client?
kindly mute yourself.
So my question
Yes.
is, what advice we can suggest to them, or how can she overcome if nobody is ready to listen to her?
Okay,
So what
so
she can do herself to keep her healthy, other than going for yoga or something like, what can we suggest them, ma'am?
So basically, I think that feeling of that I need to do everything, because I will come to that cultural part as well of emotional burnout. That in India, that women are usually women who are into homemaking, who have dedicated themselves to fully to the homemaking part. They usually feel that I myself am responsible for everything within the house, right? Like if my children is becoming sick, it is me who is responsible. If my husband is getting scolded in the office, probably it is me who is responsible. They are taking accountability for everything. So before that, they have to create a boundary where they will understand, okay, this is my this between this side of the boundary where I am responsible. If I do something no, beyond that boundary, I am not responsible or accountable for anything. Establishing that clear boundary is very important. She cannot be if the kid is not an infant or a toddler, if they are above 5 years or 6 years old, I think they have to put a boundary with them as well, where she cannot be 24/7 available to them. She needs some support, some house help maybe, where she won't be always occupied with something or another, and she is not being overburdened with the household work, where even if she is going to yoga, she is constantly thinking, okay, I have to go back to home and make the food. Oh, घर पे आज तो सब्जी नहीं है, सब्जी लेके भी जाना होगा, ठीक है. So if she is constantly in that zone, so even if she is doing something called so-called me time, that is not becoming a me time at all. She is always occupied in her head. So she needs to do that. She needs some help where she can delegate her work to somewhere else, so that her me time becomes me time. That is the first thing.
Okay, ma'am.
And I think that's why, the society should respect women a lot. Coming from a man, I feel the society should respect women so much, because I think women are more prone to be getting burnouts, emotional burnouts all the time, because they have families to take care, they have their husband to take care, then kids come in, and even if they want to pursue their own ambition, right? So many women who give up on their ambition not because of responsibilities. I think because it is mostly they're emotionally burnt out. So I think as men, as the society, I think women deserve the most appreciation. And I think every woman who are continuing with their emotional burnouts, I think they're real inspiration for men like me. Thank you.
I hope more men start thinking like you.
Ma'am, she need to train all the family members like the husband and kids as well for the house work.
Right.
Ma'am, basically, either it's a men or a women, they need to learn to prioritize themselves also, so that they can schedule and they can learn how to channelize their life. Because going in depression or facing all these issues is the final result of not prioritizing ourselves.
It will be a long discussion, but to summarize this part, that we who are saying all this on this platform we do come from a privileged part of the society, right? So we can say these things where we can say that there should be a parity, there should be divided in the on the task part, but think about the people who come from do not come from that privileged part of the society. So I don't think they have this kind of leverage to even think about this. So there we need intervention.
Ma'am, what's the
Well,
good
it's
score
stop
in this
pleasing
test?
everyone.
In this test, there are various
Yes.
scores.
So basically,
yeah.
yes. So basically, the thing is that so the highest score of this test, just for sample test, this is not a proper test. So for the sample test would be 70. Okay. So
Okay.
it can be the lowest score would be 10 to 70. So if you are coming below 20, 30, so it's okay. Okay. But if it is becoming more than that, more than 30, 35, so it is something you need to start checking upon your own self. And if it is more than 50, then you should 50 or 55, then you should really be concerned.
Is it possible that if we stop pleasing others, can it lead to less burnout or emotional burnout?
That's a good question. Okay, that's a good question.
People pleasing
Of course we
definitely
should.
will give you an emotional burnout, ma'am.
We cannot please everyone every
Yeah.
time.
Yes, we cannot, but if we really stop it, okay, so it's not about only pleasing others, it's also about pleasing your own self. So can you stop doing things to keep putting yourself in such position where you are making goals or making making
You're
goals which is
proving
beyond.
yourself as a
Yes.
superwoman.
Yes, right, exactly. So you not only pleasing others, you have to stop pleasing your own self all the time.
Ma'am, I feel this
Yeah,
also to do a lot with
the
control.
validation.
Even when there are situations where people do delegate their duties, roles to others and distribute them, but they just can't leave that point of control. Like, even if they
Right,
know
right.
that, yes, I'm distributing my morning work to my husband, like, he is the one who's responsible for getting my son ready to school or the rest of the household chores, but they are not exactly happy. So, in their mind, it's always like, is the son ready? So is he actually going to school? Is he getting dressed properly? So even if we say we are off duty, the particular people are not, like, women are not getting off duty. In my head, I'm not off duty. Even if I have a house help, even if I have someone to help me with my cooking, I have someone who is looking after my child, until and unless I learn to, like, offload or use a switch off button, it's never going to work even if I distribute my duties, right?
Right. And you have to learn the fact that when you are not doing anything, suppose you are making chai, okay, and your husband is making chai, so you have to accept the fact, no matter uh, if you are using the same ingredients, if you are using the same measuring cup, still it's gonna be different. Accepting that fact that we are different individuals, and when we are doing something, it is bound, the outcome is bound to be different. So accepting that fact is very important, because if you think that the other person will, if you expect in India that the bai will come in and she will clean the house like you do, it's not gonna happen. It's never gonna happen.
Thank you for
Ma'am, a
this word,
perfect
ma'am.
wali chai nahi aayegi.
Acceptance is really difficult for ladies. I mean, I have seen people like they are not accepting anything. Even if a husband feeds their child, they are saying, "अच्छा अच्छे से खाना ही नहीं खाया." Husband is saying, "अच्छा हो गया." Acceptance, we all need to learn acceptance for every situation, I think.
Right.
So that's the
And
key
never
word here.
satisfied.
Yes.
They are never satisfied.
Never
Someone has
satisfied
done work,
also.
they are not
Yeah.
satisfied. No one can do anything
Not satisfied.
until unless you are not satisfied. Let's start to accept things.
Yes, totally.
And I don't think so.
And one thing that
Acceptance also is needed, ma'am, because when you keep accepting too much of whatever's thrown at you, I think we become slaves to
Yes.
whatever is,
Anything,
trying to
anything
control
which is
society.
too much is problematic. We have to learn to balance everything first.
I think more than acceptance, a little level of sacrifice, I think would make a proper term. Like you don't have to accept everything for everybody, but if we feel that okay, because if I just step down from my ego, if this will help the, like for example, if I apologize first, I think everything will be sorted. So coming forward to sacrificing my ego, if I just step up, I think that'll be a little bit better than accepting situations.
As a clinical psychologist, I would not use the term sacrifice here, and I would
Mandira,
not
Mandira
recommend.
ma'am,
Yes.
Cynthia this side. I would like to just correct him na. Whatever she said, it's totally correct. Acceptance is the main thing, right? If he is not accepting, then I will tell him he can take acceptance as 50-50 ratio. Then I think I can convince him.
Ma'am,
Thank you.
I told from ladies' side. He told from gents' side. So that's the difference
Not
here.
really. Not really. He did
Maybe,
not
yeah.
mean to do
No,
that.
no, no, no. Don't take like this. It's ratio of 50-50. It's for everybody, dear. It's for
Yeah.
everybody. Right now, we have to convince him, right? You got it? It's
No.
ratio of 50-50. It's neither him nor her, right? It's 50-50. I have to convince him. So I said like this, it's 50-50. It's not a matter of him or her. It's for everybody. The ratio is 50-50. I hope you got it. Thank you, Mandira ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, let's not
True, ma'am. True.
let's not get into gender fight here. Okay, but yes, sacrifice won't be the right term to use here. But definitely accepting, balancing, and understanding others' point of view, not just being so self-eccentric where feeling that whatever I am thinking, whatever I am believing is the right, and whatever they are doing is wrong. Accepting that part is, I think, more important, and balancing that part. It's not like कि every time I am saying कि अच्छा बाकी जो कर रहे सब सही है मैं गलत हूँ. Not going to any direction, any spectrum, but keeping a balance in between, knowing when to do what. Okay, we will skip this part because we are going late, running late. Okay, so I will now quickly go through the long-term risk. Of course, whatever there is, anything which becomes, I will speed a little bit. Okay, if you have any problem understanding what I'm talking about, you can ask me. So yeah, so long-term risks are usually when anything which is staying with you for a longer period of time, it is bound to affect more than it is supposed to. It is when emotional burnout is there for more than months, more than 3 months, more than 6 months, it is bound to affect your social relationships, your work, your sleep, your everything, your conflicts, relational conflicts, and how you are engaging in your life, how you are doing things, how you are making meaning out of everything. So everything becomes, and of course secondary clinical conditions, comorbidities like anxiety, somatization, depression, everything can start comorbidity, it can come in. And when to seek help, of course, when you figure out there are symptoms of emotional burnout, and therapy can help you with emotional replenishment, processing suppressed grief, restoring agency. Agency means restoring your authority, like reclaiming your authority over your own life, and joy. So here is a quick journal, okay, which you can use for burnout recovery. You can use it with your clients for the matter, or maybe your family members, friends, whenever they are in distress, long distance, or maybe for your own self. These are the things I wish I had more time where I could have taken your responses, all of your responses for this. These are the questions you can ask yourself. Try not to do it for on behalf of others, like don't ask. It's a journal, so it is supposed to be filled by
বলছে
your own
সামনে
self,
রশিদের দোকান
right?
থেকে একটা ইয়ে নিয়ে এসো
So
ডাইচি
in that case, I'm sorry, I got diverted due to the noise. Yeah. So yeah, you can use this, and maybe you can you know some of you just answer one or two questions from here, like okay, so you can ask this question 7, number 7: who can I reach out to for support in getting me through this feeling of burnout? Do you have a social support? Devanjali, you are marking on the screen. Kindly delete them. Thank you. Yes, so it is very important to have a social support, because in any mental health disorder, it's not only for emotional burnout. Social support is something very important, and we try to encourage clients so that they can have a social support, because it helps in the recovery part when you have somebody to lean on to, because when you have something to share, then it becomes easier. I'm not saying that it helps you to recover, but it helps you to sustain, or it helps you to go through the process of recovery. So it is very important to have a social support. Okay, so
And
coming to
what if you are very antisocial, like say you have social anxiety? So I think the best source would be like, approaching a therapist, right, ma'am? Because when you have somebody who doesn't judge you for what you are, I think you'll be more open with them, right, ma'am?
therapists are supposed to be treatment providers, right? They are not supposed to be your supplement to your friends. They can act like your friend, but it is supposed to be a temporary engagement for 3 months, for 6 months, or for a year. So they cannot be, and also they cannot be available anytime you want. Suppose at night 1 a.m. You have received a message where you are feeling very emotionally overwhelmed. You cannot reach out to a therapist. You cannot. That time you will need a friend, or maybe a family member, or anybody with whom you can talk to, can share with, or maybe the person will be there for you.
Understood, ma'am. Thank you.
So yeah, here are 4 therapeutic modes which are mostly used for emotional burnout. So here we are just talking about emotional burnout, not the occupational burnout or spiritual or relational burnout. So in emotional burnout, what we do is CBT, that is cognitive behavior therapy, as we know, and it's a gold standard for most of the emotional disturbances we have, because it targets the cognition and behavior altogether, which is proven to be most effective method of dealing with any emotional problem. So CPT for exhausted minds. I think this slide will answer most of your questions, where you are asking how to target, what to target, which part to to intervene. So first in CBT, what we do is it is for exhausted minds, so that won't switch off. The time I was asking that constantly running in my head. I am probably sitting in front of my laptop talking, giving this webinar, maybe my mind is somewhere else. So that, and if that happens, so my mind is compartmentalized, right? So I am one part of my head is here, which is presenting in the webinar, and another part is probably dealing with some relational problem. So it is very so that part needs to switch off for this time being, right? Because because if I keep on doing that, it becomes very like, if you keep on running the treadmill all the time, you are supposed to get exhausted. So if my mind is always going here and here, coming front and back, so it is supposed to get exhausted more than it is supposed to. So it targets the overthinking, guilt about rest, I'm not doing enough. So that's why I was mentioning doing nothing is also important, because most of us have this guilt when we are just sitting, not doing anything. I remember having a friend when I was not doing something, I was just chilling after my MPhil. He was telling me, why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't you getting into a job? And I was like, I have just completed it. It's been a week. Let me rest. MPhil is a tiresome coursework. I don't want to get into work. I just want to do nothing for a month at least. So having that guilt within ki, no, I cannot rest, I do not deserve rest, I have to constantly do something or I am lacking behind, that is very exhausting for your mind. So that are the targets in CBT. How it helps, it teaches you to catch and reframe burnout driving thoughts. Example, you learn to challenge the belief, because CBT challenges your beliefs by asking Socratic questioning methods and other stuff, where if I stop helping others, I am selfish. That's a core belief of our client, right? And we, through the therapy, we try to replace it with taking care of myself helps me show up better. So if I can't take care of myself, if I am not giving enough to myself, how can I expect myself to give it to others all the time? Right? I have to be my friend first, I have to be my provider first in order to provide for others. If I am not being a therapist or a good counselor myself, like if a client is coming to me and showcasing symptoms of emotional burnout, and I'm giving them the strategies how to get over it, and I myself am not following that strategies, then how am I am myself gonna be emotional burnout, and that's gonna hamper my therapeutic approaches. So I have to take care of my own self so that I can show up for my clients and help them out. Act for when you feel lost or disconnected. So that's where that act means acceptance and commitment therapy, where the targets are emotional numbness, stuckness, disconnection from personal values. So how it helps you to accept your hard feelings while moving toward what truly matters to you. So basically the example I was giving about making chai, so accepting that, okay, probably my husband does not make as good as chai as I do, but what is important to me is in the morning when I have done the chores of the house and put myself kids to school, after coming back, probably I need a cup of tea where I can rest. So I don't want to go to the kitchen. So if my husband is helping me to make a cup of tea, I should accept it. Maybe I can teach him how to make a better tea, but yes, accepting that, okay, he might not be a pro at making chai in a day or two, so not scolding him, making a fuss about it, or fighting about it. So yes, doing that. Example here it is given something, MBSR is mindful based stress reduction technique. So mindfulness for minds and bodies always high on alert. So when the high functioning emotional burnout, the case I have showed all you all, so there is always a physical tension, not an arousal kind of a tension, but a constant where you are not being able to rest yourself. So there is always, your body is on moving mode, it's on a autopilot moving mode. Like the moment your manager calls you, pick up the call and say, yes sir, yeah, tell me what I need to do. So there is always tension, physical tension, racing thoughts, emotional reactivity. Okay, since someone said that they were in the software field, so okay, bug aaya hai, okay, I need to fix it, okay, give me 2 minutes, I will do it. 2 minute में नहीं होगा, so don't claim that कि 2 minute में हो जाएगा. Say okay, okay, I understand it happened, okay, I will see what I can do, or maybe yeah, give me some time, I'm fixing it. So don't claim something, because फिर otherwise क्या होगा कि after 10 minutes you'll feel like, oh I said कि 2 मिनट में हो जाएगा, 10 मिनट हो गया, अभी भी नहीं कर पाया और कर पाई मैं, so I am a failure, I'm not a good developer, I'm lacking something. So these things are supposed, this chain of thoughts are supposed to come in. So don't claim such things. So how mindfulness helps is uses mindful breathing. So there is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. Those of you don't know, you can search it up on Google. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. It is a very nice and very quick technique that I tell all of my clients to do, and it is something you can use it anywhere at any time, and it really helps you to get grounded at the time of stress or emotional reactivity, when you are very emotionally reactive. So that you can use. Self-compassion training, so for the inner critic that never rests, so being always I am not good enough, मुझसे कुछ नहीं होगा, not being worthless or hopeless, but being critical about whatever you do. Maybe I'm not looking good enough, oh I should have bought that dress, इससे ज़्यादा सुंदर लगती मैं. Always criticizing, not ever acknowledging yourself, acknowledging the effort you have put, acknowledging okay मुझसे जो होता था मैंने किया, मेरे से इतना ही होता, या फिर इतने टाइम में मैं इतना ही कर पाती. Accepting that I have given my best, that is also important. So it targets the harsh judgment, shame, inner pressure to keep going. And how it helps? It teaches you to treat yourself the way you treat a struggling friend. तुम्हारे पास अगर कोई दोस्त आके कहेगा I am not being able to get through my master's entrance, or maybe I'm not being get through the MPhil entrance, you won't tell them कि नहीं तेरे से तो होगा ही नहीं इसलिए तू नहीं कर पाएगा. You won't criticize them, will you? No. So you tell them it's okay, next time कर लेना, और भी तो entrances है, this is not the last. So the way you will console themselves, we want you to be as sensible to your own self as well, to be as gentle to your own self as well. So there is also psychological first aid. WHO का एक है WHO. WHO have given one psychological first aid model for emotional burnout, where you have to look first. Psychological first aid is not a mode of treatment. It is basically how it's a first aid. You know what a first aid is. So it is just for the first aid part. Look, listen, and link. And there are evidence-based prevention frameworks: recognize, reframe, reclaim your boundaries, replenish, and reach out for connection or professional help. So the cultural part I was talking about, that guilt of resting in a collectivist family. If you are a homemaker, you are probably lying down after a hard day, probably one of your family members are saying, अरे तुम तो सोए रहे हो, तुम तो पूरा शाम सोते ही रहते हो, कुछ नहीं करते हो. So that they put on a guilt. Okay, मैं कुछ ही नहीं करती हूँ, मैंने इतना सब कुछ किया, उसका कुछ नहीं है, ठीक है मैं नहीं सोऊंगी, शाम को भी मैं कुछ ना कुछ करने बैठ जाऊंगी. So that guilt of resting is very killing. Suffering silently as strength. That the one person was saying na ki that ego where I feel like I don't need help, I don't need a professional help, I will मैं sort out कर लूँगा, सब कुछ मैं खुद ही sort out कर लूँगा. It's just a phase. Emotional burnout कुछ नहीं है, it's just a phase. ठीक हो जाएगा कुछ दिनों बाद. Probably I will go to a solo trip, maybe I will go to a party, सब ठीक हो जाएगा, और maybe I will take a 2-3 दिन का break, सब ठीक हो जाएगा. That's not it. Because in our society, suffering silently shows at resilience, show as a symbol of strength, that okay ये तो कुछ भी नहीं कहता है, that person must be so strong. It's not, they are not strong, they are suffering silently, they are not breaking right now, but that does not mean they are not reaching a break point anytime soon. And generational mindset, where we did not have most of the times when we try to kind of tell our parents about, teach our parents about mental health, जैसे हमारे टाइम पे तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता था, हमारा डिप्रेशन एंजाइटी हमारे टाइम पे तो कुछ नहीं होता था. So that is something very and that also growing up अगर हमको ये सब सुनना पड़ता है ना, so that develops our personality in the sense where we feel like कि mental health तो it's okay है नहीं है does not matter. Unless we reach to a break point where we are completely shattered, then only we reach out to a therapist. So to end, there is a quote for all, that you are not weak for feeling burnout. You are emotionally alive in a demanding world. Real strength is knowing when to step back and reclaim joy. So any question you want to ask, or any one idea which you have learned from today's session and you want to carry with you? I'd love
I'm
to hear.
sharing problem with others में क्या लॉजिक है? वो प्रॉब्लम मेरी सॉल्व नहीं कर रहा है, पर मैं उसको बता रहा हूँ और मैं लाइट फील करता हूँ, तो इसके पीछे क्या लॉजिक है?
Can you please repeat the question?
मैम, आई एम शेयरिंग, हम सोशल एंटी सोशल वाली बात करते हैं ना, तो अगर मैं किसी से अपनी बात कर रही हूँ, शेयर कर रही हूँ, आई नो कि वो सॉल्व नहीं कर पाएगा उस प्रॉब्लम को, मेरे घर की प्रॉब्लम है, वो सॉल्व नहीं कर पाएगा, लेकिन मैं अगर किसी से शेयर करता हूँ तो वो मैं उसके बाद थोड़ा लाइट फील करता हूँ. ये लाइट फील करने के पीछे क्या लॉजिक है?
तो बेसिकली लाइट फील करना इज लाइक व्हेन, बिकॉज हम हमारे दिमाग में बहुत सारी चीज़ें सोचते हैं, है ना, एंड इट इज़ वी डू नॉट give time to our thoughts. It is always rushing from one place to another in a jiffy. We don't mindfully think, we don't sit with our thoughts usually. So बैकग्राउंड में सब कुछ चलता रहता है, ठीक है, घर में ये चल रहा है, ऑफिस में ये चल रहा है, बच्चों के लाइफ में ये चल रहा है, या फिर मेरे रिलेशनशिप में ये चल रहा है, इतना सब कुछ चल रहा है, एंड वी आर नॉट फोकसिंग ऑन वन थिंग बिकॉज एवरीथिंग इज एवरीवेयर, इट इज़ ऑल मतलब रायता फैला हुआ है सिचुएशन. सो इन दैट केस व्हेन वी tell somebody about something, we are verbalizing our emotions, we are verbalizing our thoughts, we are sitting with that thought. If I am talking about my relationship with one of my friends, that means I am giving time to that thought, the emotion, the feeling I am having about that. I am getting some insight probably, or maybe I am being able to see other aspects of that part when I'm verbalizing, I'm sitting with that thought, and that is why it feels a little sorted in our head when after we verbalize our feelings. That's why it feels light after talking to a friend.
Ma'am, we can also jot down in our personal diary or something if we don't want to talk. That will also help us.
Yes, of course, that can, but in case you don't really want to, maybe it's very deeply personal where you don't want to share that with anybody else, that can work. But yes, having social support, because sometimes when we are stuck in a situation when because I am probably having 5 difficulties in my life right now, okay, so if I am talking to a friend, since I have so much to drown myself in right now, I am probably not being able to see it from other perspectives. So when we talk with a friend, that person maybe, because if that person is a friend, they are supposed to like, we think we believe that that person knows us, right? So that person might be able to, you know, light on some perspective which we are lacking. So sometimes it also helps. Maybe I am emotionally burnout, but and I'm not I'm not even being able to see it. So if I go to a friend, they might point it out, I think you are burnout. So that time probably we get a perspective, oh yes, probably I'm burnout, that's why I'm having this sensation. So the journal won't tell you back.
Okay, ma'am, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, so in case of intrusive thoughts or thoughts from which you're running away, does it not, मतलब ये, is it not something like if you share with a person, वो एकदम पक्का हो जाए and something like, sometimes we tend to run away from those thoughts. So is it a good idea to express those thoughts and write it down, because it may get confirmed or something, where you are not trying to give importance to those thoughts, but certainly you're putting it on paper or you're discussing. So is it not going to become a bigger version of it?
Uh, mm, it is not supposed to, if you are not exaggerating the situation. Otherwise, maybe it was a big issue which you were kind of putting aside, being in denial कि नहीं ये तो कुछ नहीं है, छोटी बात है, इसको हटा देते हैं. But maybe that is what affecting you so much. If you put yourself into put those thoughts into words, maybe थोड़ी देर के लिए बहुत बड़ा लगेगा, maybe बहुत heavy लगेगा, emotionally overwhelmed भी लगेगा, but then if you sit with that thought, maybe sit with that feeling, I think you will be you will, and if you have the coping strategies available to you, coping resources available to you, I think that is more important, because if you repress it, if you suppress it too much, it is not gonna go away. The problem is gonna be the same, remain the same, and it is gonna get into your unconscious maybe and affect you some other way. Maybe it can develop, I'm not exaggerating, but I'm saying that it can happen, that it may lead to some somatization or maybe anxiety, panic attacks, and you don't know where it is coming from because you have suppressed those thoughts. So maybe temporarily it may look like, okay, it is overwhelming, I have put my thoughts which I was avoiding for so long, and it is overwhelming me, but it is good for the long run.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am,
So in case of
my,
this, yeah.
ma'am, my takeaway from this session is that it's knowing when to step back, when to ask for help, and come back stronger and
Yes.
rejuvenated.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Yes, ma'am. I have learned that I should talk what I am feeling, and sometimes I need my space. So I need my space and stand for myself.
My feedback is, ma'am, and what I get from this session is, we need to set boundaries, start loving ourselves, uh, and we don't be selfish, but at the same time, set the boundaries. That's the main thing, what I felt.
Yes.
Ma'am, my feedback is just to accept people